Hi everyone and welcome to Book Boop. My name is Rachel and today I'm going to be talking about 12 different book series that I want to read in 2020. Most of these book series are backlisted. There's a few of them that are newer. There's some that still have parts of the series coming out and aren't complete yet. Most of them are complete. There's a few that I've started on, haven't finished yet. So let's just go ahead and talk about them, yeah? Also, there's a few of these series that I honestly don't know that much about. I'll try to give you as much information as I can, like synopsis-wise. There's some of them, though, that I don't know much. They just sound cool. At least the idea of them sounds cool. So let's go ahead and jump in. So I'm going to start with the series I've already started and I'm hoping to finish in 2020. One of which is the Five Nights at Freddy series by Scott Cawthon. This is a trilogy. I believe it's a YA series. I've already read the first two, so I just have one more left. And I am looking forward to finishing it up at some point this year. So first of all, yes, it is Five Nights at Freddy's as in the video game. So if you've never heard about that before, there's a video game out that's called Five Nights at Freddy's. It's a horror video game. It's a pretty basic game, but it's absolutely terrifying. And it's basically where you're in this pizzeria that's called Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, and there are these animatronics there, I think like Chuck E. Cheese. You've got these different animatronics, and they end up becoming murderous. So this particular series, we follow this character who in the past had an experience at Freddy Fazbear's where she ends up being in a situation where she's around these animatronics and they go haywire and try to murderize her and her friends. And it's super creepy. The first book absolutely terrified me. The second book I didn't end up enjoying as much, but mainly that's because I ended up accidentally seeing a spoiler and it was a major spoiler and it ruined it for me. So the second book I didn't enjoy as much, but I do really want to finish the series and just see how it ends. So I'm hoping to do that at some point this year. I think it'll be fun just to jump into that. And I love the video game. I've personally tried playing and it's terrifying and I get too scared, but I do like watching people play it, specifically Markiplier on YouTube. But yeah, it's so fun. And there's a whole bunch of them that are out. There's a whole bunch of Five Nights at Freddy's games. So if you haven't heard of it before, look it up. It's a fun to watch people play it and get just scared out of their minds. And it's a fun series to read too. Okay, so the next one that I have also started on is the Stalking Jack the Ripper series by Kerri Maniscalco. This is the first book in the series. It is set in the late 1800s. Specifically, this first book is taking place around when the Jack the Ripper murders are happening. We are following this character named Audrey Rose, and she's doing something very outside the norm of what females normally do in this time period, and she is wanting to work in forensics and work with cadavers and dissecting and all that kind of stuff. It's what her uncle does, and she is learning under him how to do this, and she's super into it. She's super smart. She really wants to do it too, but this is the type of career that usually only males are allowed to follow. So, and anyways, her uncle ends up being mixed up in trying to solve the case of the Jack the Ripper murders, and so Audrey Rose ends up getting mixed up in that as well. So it's a murder mystery. It's very gothic. It's very, very atmospheric. If you like the idea of late 1800s London and it's foggy and rainy and it just has that feel, you know, the cobblestone streets and anyway, so got that feel in it. So this is the first book. I've only read the first one so far. There are 4 in the series total. I own the second book and I'm hoping to read the second one in March here in this month. But I still have 2 more to go after that. I'm interested to see where the series goes. I hope I really enjoy it. Most people usually like the first book or the second the most, and then it kind of goes downhill a little bit from there. But I want to try it out, and I enjoyed the first one enough that I think it'll be really fun to continue the series. So that's the other one that I have started. All right, let's move on to, this is another one that I have actually started in a way, and that is the Vicious series by V.E. Schwab. It's a duology. You've got Vicious and Vengeful. If you've never heard about it before, Vicious is all about these college roommates who end up learning or trying to learn about EOs, extraordinaries, basically people that develop some kind of superpowers. So think like superheroes and that kind of stuff. And they're trying to figure out how to gain their own superpowers and how it can be manufactured, basically. And they end up figuring out through some investigating, this is very early on in the book, by the way, they end up figuring out some investigating that it takes near-death experiences. So I will say there are trigger warnings for self-harm and suicide in this book pretty strongly. So that's an issue for you. You may want to avoid it. Basically, they end up becoming superheroes, well, developing superhero things, but they end up becoming enemies, and they both basically become supervillains, and it's epic. This is a duology again, and I'm hoping to read both of them this month here in March. I've already read Vicious. I'm going to try not to say anything about it right now. I really want to just go on about it, but I'm not going to. But oh my goodness, I love V.E. Schwab's writing so much. It's just, so I'm excited to read that. The Vicious is like a booktube darling. A lot of people really, really love Vicious. A lot of people have read it, so I'm really excited to finally read this series because, and I'm loving it. So anyways, it's so good. All right, the next one, let's move on with a V.E. Schwab train here. And the next one that I'm hoping to read is another duology she's written. It's called the Monsters of Verity series, or if you've heard of This Savage Song, and then the second one, Our Dark Duet. This one, the only basic idea I know is that there are basically two different peoples. There are the humans and the monsters, and there are monster hunters, and the monsters have some kind of like powers over the humans, and they don't really like each other very much. And something about, I think we follow two characters. One of them is a monster hunter, and the other one is a monster, and I think they become friends. And I think the monster has the ability to play music and can control people, or has some kind of power. That's why there's violins on these. And I'm a violinist, so I'm a little bit partial to these covers, and that's half the reason I was interested in the series. But this sounds really cool, and a lot of people really like it. So I'm excited to read this at some point, and I'm excited to own these. Hoping to read this at some point in 2020. And I think it's going to be fun, and I've heard a lot about them. So, again, V.E. Schwab. I'm really getting into some V.E. Schwab this year. After that, one more V.E. Schwab duology called The Archived. I do not own this one. This is one of her older duologies. I'm not sure when she wrote it, but I think it's been several years. And this one I don't know very much about, except it has something to do with a library. I think when a person dies, their entire life story or all their memories and everything is written down in a book. Or like their body, their soul turns into a book, or I don't know, and then it's like archived in this place of like everybody's souls and stories. That's really all I know. I know that I'm sure there's way more than that, but I don't know any more than that, but it just sounds really cool. I love the idea of libraries, and I think there's some like dark things having to do with it. The cover is really creepy and dark looking. So anyways, I'm excited about it. I think it sounds cool. And I'm excited about trying it out. And I love duologies. Personally, I love jumping into series that either just they're one-offs or just like a couple of books. I love those because I feel like you just don't have to put too much investment in it. And I like those. I like those kind of series where it's like either a one and done, or I can just read a couple and be done and then move on to something else. So I'm excited about that as well. So lots of good V.E. Schwab stuff. All right, so the next one I'm hoping to be able to read is the Wayward Children's series by Seanan McGuire. These are shorter books. What are those called? I don't know. It's what those shorter books are called when it's like a really, really short book. And there's a whole bunch of them. There's a newer one that just came out either in January or February of this year. But all I know about it is it's supposed to be this boarding school, I think, where kids are sent to that are trying to get adjusted to living back in the real world. And what I mean by that is think about going to Neverland or going to Wonderland or to Oz, and then you're there in this magical place, and then you get transported back to the real world. And some of these kids they're not able to adjust, or they feel like Wonderland was their home instead of the real world, and just trying to adjust, trying to get back and integrate it into the real world again. So it's a really interesting concept. I love that idea because I love Alice in Wonderland. I love Peter Pan. I love Wizard of Oz, just like that. I love that kind of stuff, and Narnia, and I just love this whole idea of being transported to these magical places. But these people they end up coming back, right? And it's just like, what do they go through when they come back? So I think it sounds really interesting. I'm excited the fact that they're so short, because then I can read all of them. I think there's like 6 of them, 5 or 6 of them out right now. I'm not sure if it's done, but there's quite a few of them, but you could read them pretty quick. So I love the idea of just being able to kind of like binge that series. And I think it'd be really fun. Most people have really liked it. Again, it's another kind of like booktube darling series. So I'm looking forward to trying it out, hopefully really soon, maybe in the next few months. I think it sounds like a lot of fun. The next series I'm hoping to read, I believe, is a trilogy. And that is the House of Furies series by Madeleine Roux. This is one I really don't know that much about. All I know is that it takes place in a creepy boarding school, and I think it's like ghosts. I think that's all I need to know, because I love anything that has to do with paranormal and ghosts and stuff like that. So I think it's just like this really creepy boarding school, and the people that run the boarding school are creepy, and it's like a creepy old mansion, I think. So it sounds really neat. I think there are 3 or 4 books in this series. I own the first one here, and the cover itself just looks super spoopy. So, and it says that it has creepy illustrations too. Photographs and illustrations help bring to life a terrifying house you want to visit and escape from again and again. That sounds really creepy. So I'm hoping to read this series at some point this year as well. I love a good creepy series. Give me all the creepy series. I will go for it. Okay, this next one is another one that kind of makes me think of the Wayward Children series, and that is the Everland trilogy by Wendy Spnale. And I don't know much about this one. I think it's been out for quite a while. It's a YA series, and it looks like it's supposed to be like a dark retelling of some of our favorite magical places. Like, it looks like the first book is about kind of like a dark retelling of Peter Pan. The second one looks like it's supposed to be Wonderland, and the third one's supposed to be Oz. They just look like they're supposed to be dark and creepy, which I love. I love dark twisted tales on classic fairy tales. Those are so fun, and I'm really excited about reading it. I think it's going to be really cool. I'm hoping it's not going to be really angsty. That's the only thing I'm nervous about, because I read an angsty Alice in Wonderland series last year, the Splintered series, and I didn't really like it. So I'm really hoping this is what I'm looking for. I'm hoping this is good, creepy retelling without being like super teenage angsty. That's what I'm hoping for. So please be that for me, Everland. That would be wonderful. Okay, the next one that I'm hoping to read is a sweet little middle grade series. And there's only 2 books out in the series so far, and I don't think that's it. I know there's pretty positive there's gonna be more. And that's the Pages & Co. series by Anna James. And I really want to read this. I've been wanting to read it so bad ever since I saw the first book come out. All I know is it's about this little girl who has an ability to book wander, where she can actually go into books and she can interact with some of favorite characters. And I'm pretty positive, like in the first book, she interacts with Anne of Green Gables, and I think Alice from Alice in Wonderland. And I just, that sounds so precious. I just love that so much. So I love the idea of like this little girl traveling through these different favorite childhood books. It just sounds so lovely. And it looked like the cover's super cute. It just looks like this super sweet, fun middle grade series, and I really, really want to jump into it. I've been dying to read it, and it needs to happen. It needs to happen this year. I'm really excited. Next, going a completely different direction from cute, sweet middle grade, I have not read the Scythe trilogy by Neal Shusterman. The last book just came out. I'm sorry if you can hear my dog licking. He's laying right next to me and licking. I have never read the Scythe series. Some people love it. Some people are like, why do people like this? But all I know is that it's supposed to take place in this idea of this utopian or dystopian, however you look at it, society of where death has been conquered. Nobody dies anymore. All diseases have been cured. So there's a problem though. People don't die. So now we got overpopulation, right? There's too many people. And so there's this, I think, computer system that helps decide who should die, and the scythes carry it out. The scythes they basically look like, what is it called? Oh my goodness, my brain. You know, the creepy dude with the hood, and he's got like the scythe, and he's the one that kills. Wow, this is terrible. Anyways, let's move on. So basically, you can be trained to become a scythe, and you kill people. You murder people to help keep the population down. which sounds creepy. And I think we follow a couple of people who are training to become Scythes, but they don't really want to be Scythes. I'm not sure why they're being pushed into it, but anyways, it sounds like a really interesting idea about this strange society of people that people that don't die, and then like a scythe comes for you and kills you. I don't know, just sounds weird. I'm excited to try it out. There's some people I know that have read it that loved it, and then there's some people I know that really didn't like it at all, so I'm interested to see what camp I fall in. I heard the third book was kind of meh, so I'm a little nervous about that, but I've heard the first and even this, I've heard the second book is like, so I'm excited to jump into it. It sounds a little creepy, kind of gives me a little bit of Hunger Games vibes. It's not Hunger Games, but it's got that like utopian dystopian feel. So I think it's going to be kind of fun, I hope. All right, so we got 2 more left. This next one, I apologize. I'm going to butcher the name of this so bad. This is a French series that has been translated so kindly into English so that we can read it. And the name of the series is Le Passe-Miroir series by Christelle Dabos. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for any of the French people out there. They're like, wow, you butchered that so bad. One of my favorite booktubers, Sarah the Dreamer, is French, and this is one of her favorite series. So I'm sorry, Sarah, if I butchered it, if you're watching this. I don't know much about this series at all, except it's supposed to be a idea of the world far in the distant future. I guess you could say it's kind of dystopian or something. I don't know. But it's now to where the land, chunks of land float in the sky. And there are like these different cities on each chunk. And then we follow this girl who is able to travel through mirrors and read objects. And she ends up getting married off to some important family that's on a different tower or different land, and she ends up getting mixed up in some political drama. It normally doesn't sound like my thing, but I've heard so many good things about it, and it just sounds really interesting. And I don't believe I've ever read a translated work before, so I'm excited to try that out. These books are chunkers. I know there's 3 of them out right now. I don't know if there's more than 3 in the series. I don't know if that's all the series is, but I know they're big. But the covers are beautiful. They sound really interesting, and I want to try them out. So it's a series that honestly overwhelms me thinking about trying it because the books are so big. I do get a little intimidated by books. Actually, a lot intimidated by books that are big. So it may be a little bit till I get to it, but I really do want to read the series. I think it sounds really interesting. And one of my best friends has also read it as well, and she loves it. So I'm interested to try it out. The last one, this is way beyond my comfort zone because this is something I've never read before, but I would love to read, and again, trying to pronounce, the Promised Neverland manga series by, and this is why, I don't know how to pronounce this, Kaiu, Shirai, and Posuka Demizu. Again, I am sorry. I'm terrible at pronouncing things, especially things that are in my language. But the Promised Neverland is a manga series. I don't know how many of them are out. I don't know if they're still coming out. I'm not sure. But I've heard a lot of the people I follow on BookTube have been reading them, and it sounds really, really cool. The cover of it makes it look like it's this really cutesy series. It's supposed to be about these kids that are orphans, and they live in the orphanage and hoping to become adopted by a family. But then it's actually like a really creepy series, and there's some dark stuff that goes down. That's what I've been told. And that sounds like my thing. First of all, Neverland's in the title, which catches me anyways, because I love me some Peter Pan, which it's not about Peter Pan, but it just, and it's just like, it looks cute, but then it gets dark, real dark. I'm like, yes, give it to me. So that sounds so good. I am pumped to try it out. I don't know how to read manga. I know that it reads differently. You start from what feels like the back of the book and read the other way. And there's a certain way you have to read the squares, like a certain order. I'm going to have to learn, but I want to learn so that I can read this because it sounds like deliciously dark and creepy, and that just makes me so happy. So those are all the series I am hoping to read in 2020. Obviously, there might be some other series I might try or start or finish in 2020, but these are the ones that stand out to me that I'm like, I really want to get to these. These excite me. So I'm pumped. I'm pumped about all the things to read in 2020. I think it's going to be fun. Have you read any of these series? Let me know what you think about them, if they're worth it. If you're like, yes, please, this is one of my favorite series, please read it. Or if you're like, you know what, I didn't like it that much, let me know down below. I'd love to have that conversation with you. On the side of the video over here is my logo. If you click on that, you can subscribe to my channel. Follow me on my book journey if you haven't yet. This side over here is another video if you want to watch another one now. But thank you so much for watching. You rock. And don't forget to keep reading. Bye.